Do you have that one thing that you just can't get going in your life? That no matter what you do, you just can't seem to get to it, can't make that first move or build out that first momentum. So look guys, I've been there and I know how tough it is to move from that feeling of stasis to experiencing real progress. So today, I thought I'd share the process that I use when I'm really feeling stuck, but I'm desperate to activate myself. This method is the crucial building block I use as the foundation to all my creative work, especially when I'm feeling blocked or wanting to kickstart myself. It's been instrumental in initiating each of the 5 documentaries I've directed and the 5 albums that I've released. For those of you who don't know me, these projects have been bootstrapped on a shoestring budget, but have still had really cool impacts, with the films screening at over 100 film festivals worldwide and the music reaching a sizable audience over the years, and with over 50,000 raised for humanitarian causes. Today, I'm not promising a magic formula for success, but rather sharing 10 practical steps to help you get moving forward. These are the nuts and the bolts of how I tackle projects, focusing on what I call the first movement. This critical phase is about transforming a spark, an idea brewing in your heart or your mind, into a tangible action. Sometimes the challenge isn't riding the wave, but capturing the damn thing in the first place. You can do it, you will do it, so let's go. Step 1, clarify one thing. So the first step is to clarify the one thing you're setting out to do. This may seem obvious, but when you pause and observe your thoughts, you'll notice they're often scattered like a mad monkey, as the Buddhists call it. When you dream of achieving something, it's easy to imagine the complete successful outcome instead of focusing on the necessary first steps to get there. So the question is, are you willing to narrow? Can you clarify one thing? Look, many of us creatives want to develop as holistic beings, and believe me, I get it. It's a noble pursuit and not one that you should lose either. However, the danger is that we dissipate our energy between so many different things that we end up making no progress in one single area. So ask yourself, what is the one thing you're going to channel your energy towards? You're not sacrificing all the different things you want in your life. Rather, you're choosing one area of focus that will act as a catalyst for your future. A reminder, choose one path. Whether it's a new hobby, a dream, a side hustle, or an instrument, you must make a decisive choice. It's tough, but limiting yourself now allows for greater expansion later. In the words of Bruce Lee, I don't fear someone who's practiced 1,000 kicks once, but I fear someone who's practiced one kick 1,000 times. Focus your mind, dial in, clarify that one thing. Step 2, start a new journal. The clearest way to commit to your singular goal is to start fresh with a new journal. Now, this isn't just any journal, it's a journal of the one. Unlike a daily journal or a diary used for scattered thoughts, this one represents a fresh start and a focused path. For me personally, I love these floppy Muji journals, which are less imposing than Moleskine journals, which I use for my deeper reflections. The simplicity of the Muji journals aligns with the clear, uncomplicated steps which I'll outline now. This journal is your commitment to move beyond confusion and distraction and second guessing. You're no longer daydreaming. You are not in the formulation stage. This new book represents resurrection, commitment, and renewal. You get to put aside where you were and start moving into what you're becoming. So next, give your journal a precise title that reflects your current project. If you're learning to play the piano, call it Piano Book. If you're launching a startup, name it Startup Steps. If you're recording an album, perhaps Album Adventure. Just make it simple. The title should mirror the clarity and purpose you're striving for, not abstract, but direct and practical. This journal serves as a place for self-accountability, where each page is a step towards realizing your goals. In a world full of distractions, it's your space of defiant clarity, a blank canvas, not of emptiness, but of immense potential. So remember, everything you need is inside you, and it's time for you to stop being so damn down on yourself, because there's good stuff out there for you and an adventure ahead. Step 3, brainstorm it. On the first page of the journal, turn it sideways. Now's the time to embrace a bit of chaos. When you're overloaded with ideas, it's crucial to get them out of your head. Log ideas chaotically, allow it to be messy, scribble, doodle, write, just let it flow. Note down tasks, people to contact, skills to learn, and actions to take. Don't judge or second guess yourself. Let this process be fun and uncontained and unconfined. You know, nowadays, people are always trying to do everything digitally in apps. The problem is you're writing with logic, and sometimes ideas need to be analog, free, and chaotic. And remember, people do great stuff. Taking action is a joy unto itself, and every day you get the opportunity to start again. Whatever has held you back, it's time to let it go, so damn well let it go. Step 4, the list of 5. So, out of this brainstorming page, you will likely have a deep sense of where to start, but if you don't, then it's no matter. The next step is to choose 5 specific things to focus on, no more and no less. If you know what they are, great. If not, pick them at random. The important thing is that you just pick 5 and integrate this limitation as a discipline. The clearer the task before you start the day, the greater the development will be once the day is done. Remember, overwhelm destroys. Overwhelm is the enemy. Keep it simple. Something I like to do is to create a new brainstorming master list at the beginning of every single week, but then to keep it separate from the 5 daily tasks, which should always be assigned to a blank new piece of paper. Take the first step. Step 5, a thing a day. With the 5th step, we're gearing up for the greater challenge before us. Now, the problem a lot of people make is that their vision is so big that as soon as it comes to actually pursuing it, they feel either too exhausted to start or too overwhelmed by the scale of the ambition to know where to begin. To counteract this, when I start a new project, I focus instead on a minimum daily expectation. The greatest challenge we all face is consistency. But why? We fail at consistency for 2 reasons. First, we try to do too much too quickly. Second, we fail to have the humility before the task that's before us. Our ego sees the great vision, yet can't take the very first step to move us towards it. The way you counteract this is by having courage, not to pursue the totality, but instead the courage to believe that the small task before you is the most important thing you will ever do. So to build consistency, take your new journal and pose these 2 questions. 1, when are you doing it? And 2, are you ready to do it every single day? It's not about committing your whole life to it. It's not about doing it all at once. It's about inviting your dream into the fabric of your everyday life. So all I ask is this: commit to 10 minutes a day. Sounds easy, right? But the reality is most projects fail because we start by doing 2 hours a day, skip it once, and then beat ourselves up for failing. And that's inverted commas. Why not instead have the humility to build a chain of days, all committed to your deepest purpose? Step 6, build a sequence chain. Your goal now is to build out the habit of 10 minutes a day. Why 10 minutes? Because you know you can do it. If I'd played piano every day for 10 minutes over the last 20 years, I'd have achieved over 1,000 hours of piano. If I'd managed 1 hour and 22 minutes a day, I would have achieved 10,000 hours, enough to be a grandmaster at virtually anything. The point I make is that with 10 minutes a day over a long period of time, you underestimate where it can take you. The problem most of us have is that we're too big to actually believe in the validity of those 10 minutes. So why not just look at the math? Would you bet 10 minutes today if it were to give you your future, to realize your dream? You know you would. So then the question becomes, how can I guarantee that I will really go after this? Well, it's not about the passion of the day. It's about the discipline of the long term. So let's go back to the journal we invested in earlier. The plan now is to commit to the discipline of logging. Let's revisit the journal with the following pages in mind. Page 1, the brainstorm page. Page 2, the list of 5. And page 3, the logbook. This loop, brainstorm, list, and log, creates a powerful feedback system. The brainstorm is about getting stuff out of you for the future, out of your head and into the future. The list of 5 is about committing to what you're doing in the present moment now. And finally, the logbook is about reviewing what you've done in the recent past. So with that, you're always trying to review the past by jotting down your progress, your pain points, your to-dos, just what's going on. Often, the reason we fail to build consistency is because we're unwilling to review our own process. So you need to integrate that. The more conscientious about your creative process you are, the steeper your arc of improvement. Writing it down is about being accountable to yourself. Step 7, kill the excuses. If you're going to start something, then start. Kill the excuses. When are you doing this? Are you committed to doing it every day? Any creative project suffers from the same limitations: money, resources, time, and energy. The first two, money and resources, are difficult to control, but time and energy we can be smart about. Now, the reality is that most of us fail to gain consistency with our new goals and then quit them. So if you're going to integrate them, you need not only to discover your humility before the task, but also to bring in a bit of tough. To do that means to resolve in advance to stop making excuses. But why do we make excuses? Well, we make excuses almost always because we're either too tired or too busy. So to get in advance of being too tired or too busy, we have to act smarter. And you act smarter by safeguarding the one thing you're trying to do. And you safeguard it both at the front end of your spirit and in the back end of your being. The front end is by being smart, by writing it down, by brainstorming, by logging. And the back end is about determination and heart. Are you damn well going to make sure you get those 10 minutes in per day as if your life depends on it? Because your life does depend on it. What you're dissatisfied in yourself today is not because of something that's not in you. It's because what's in you is as of yet unrealized. But this potential needs to be coaxed out of us. And yes, as Chris Martin said, nobody said it was easy. Get smart on the front end. Get tough on the back end. Kill your excuses. Make your 10 minutes your non-negotiable. As JP Morgan said, the first step towards getting somewhere is to decide you're not going to stay where you are. Step 8, prioritize the priority. So in your journal, you're now writing down the 5 things a day. I want now to go into a methodology for how you achieve that list of 5. Simply put, the only thing that matters is that you prioritize the priority. Look, at any time, life is always speaking to you. Are you willing to listen to it? It says this is the one thing you need to do to move forward. And yet, we find ourselves listening to everything else and wondering why we're so confused. You counteract this by making the decision to always make the first thing on the list your priority. Even if you get nothing else done that day, get that one damn thing done. Show some guts, show some heart, do the doing, get through it. When it comes to my list, I have one rule. I never ever do the second thing on the list until the first thing is done. It's a way of getting used to doing hard things, because all too often we move on from a task, not because it's done, but because it becomes too challenging. What about thinking about that moment instead as our potential moment of revelation, when we get to show who we are in our lives and to the world? You are always your own laboratory and your own opportunity. And though it feels good to move on from a tough task sometimes, and I do get it, we know that really it's just a tactic of avoidance. So suddenly we live in a world dominated by distraction. And distraction is usually about looking somewhere else for someone else to motivate us, rather than building our own muscle to motivate by going through the hard stuff. So remember, distraction is the excuse we use not to move forward in our lives. Bin the distraction. Instead, prioritize the priority. As Goethe said, things that matter most must never be at the mercy of the things which matter least. Step 9, bring people on a journey with you. This step is about our relationship with the world. Many of us are either working from home or going about our creative projects with a sense of cut-off or loneliness. And look, I know many of us have a queasy relationship with social media, but I want to challenge you to rethink it. Instead, how can you bring people on a journey with you? I'll focus on this in a future podcast or video, but for now, why not open up your spirit again? Accompany your new start with one post a day on one platform. Again, keep it simple. Make it both a log about what you're doing and a gift to offer others. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? What is your pain point? How are you solving those pain points? Is there something that you just think you can help someone with? Or have you found a solution which might help someone else? For now, don't worry about likes or results. At this stage, it's not about outcome and it's not about expectation. It's about release and joy. Do it for these 3 reasons: to make yourself publicly accountable, to log your journey, and to help others. Your new project is an adventure, and sharing it can be joyous as well as a helpful discipline. Step 10, the 30-day challenge. All right, so we've established some basics. Now we're going to put a date into the diary, and it's in 30 days. Whatever happens, we're doing this every single day for the next 30. There is a certain freedom which comes in the act of consistency. Rather than being terrorized by what we're not doing, we feel the lightness of binding ourselves to something beyond ourselves. Commit to consistency. The next 30 days will prove to be the most important of your life, if you want them to be. There's a quote I love from Ryan Holiday, which is, "We want things to go perfectly, so we tell ourselves that we'll get started once the conditions are right. It'll be better to focus on making do with how things actually are." Your challenge now: build out your sequence chain of 10 minutes per day over the course of 1 month. Trust me, it's a gateway into the next version of yourself, building out your dream and changing your life.